Hi, this is lesson 9.3, Perform Reflections. Our big question here is how do you reflect a figure in the line y equals x? So we've got another frame for this one. So look at your 9.3 frame. Our 9.3 Perform Reflections frame is about how we reflect images over different lines on the coordinate plane. So along this side over here in purple, you'll notice we've got a bunch of different formulas that you're actually going to need to memorize. You're going to have to remember these. There are coordinate rules. So we've got rules to make these reflections pretty easy and simple. So our first example, graph reflections in horizontal and vertical lines. So for the first one here, oh, I forgot. This is about how we reflect images over different lines on the coordinate plane. So how we reflect images over different lines on the coordinate plane. That's what this frame is about. So our first example, graph reflections in horizontal and vertical lines. So the vertices of triangle ABC are A, 1, 2. So I'm going to put A on here. 1, 2 is right here. Here's my A. B, 3, 0. So 3, 0 is right here. And C is 5, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 is right here. There's my point C. And remember, this is called your pre-image because it's before a change has been made. And then we are going to graph our reflection over the line x equals 2. So I'm going to put on here my line x equals 2. The line x equals 2, well, x equals 2 right here. And if I find another point that has x equal to 2, that might be like 2, 1, which would be right here, or 2, negative 1, or 2, 2. You can see the line that's being formed. The line x equals 2 is a line that looks just like this. Okay, here's my line x equals 2. And I want to do a reflection over that line. So the easiest thing to do when it's just a vertical or horizontal line is really easy to count how far away each point is. So point A here is 1 point away from my line, so I'm going to go 1 in the other direction and label that A prime. My point B is 1 away, so 1 in the other direction would bring me here, and that's B prime. C is 1, 2, 3 away from the middle, so 1, 2, 3 in the other direction would put me right here, that's C prime. And then I'm going to draw my picture in here. So the blue one, it's my pre-image, and the green is my image after a reflection over the line x equals 2. Now I'm also going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to use the same original one, and I'm going to graph in the line y equals 3. So let me plot my points again. A is 1, 2. B is 3, 0. And C is 5, 3. Is right here. So there's C. Okay, so here's ABC. That's my, again, pre-image. So now I want to reflect this over the line y equals 3. So this is my y-axis right here, going up and down. Y equals 3 right here. And these would all be other points that have a y-coordinate of 3. So my line y equals 3 looks just like this. Okay, and you can see that point C is right on the line already. So if I want to reflect over this red line, well, C prime is going to be right here in the same spot. A is 1 away, so 1 away in the other direction would be right here. There's A prime. B is 1, 2, 3 away from the middle, so 1, 2, 3 in the other direction right here. That's B prime. So this blue one is my pre-image, and then the green one is my image after a reflection over the line y equals 3. So if it's just a reflection over x equals some number or y equals some number, we easily just count how far we're going to make our movement. So our rules for reflection, the first one, if A over B, or if the point AB is reflected in the x-axis, its image is the point A, the opposite of B. So whatever the B coordinate is, we're going to do the opposite of it. And if you think about it, you don't have to write this part down, but here's my coordinate plane. This is my x-axis. So if I have a point right here, A comma B, and I want to reflect it over this line, Well, it's going to come over the same amount, so my A is going to be the same, but then it's going to go down. Instead of going up a positive B, it's going to go down the opposite of B. Now, if it was a negative number to begin with, if B was negative to begin with, it would then become positive. So to reflect it in the x-axis, we keep the A the same, because you go over the same amount, but then we do the opposite of B. If I'm going to reflect in the y-axis, we're going to do the opposite of A and then B. So again, let me show this to you a little bit. You do not have to write the second part down here. So if I want to reflect in the y-axis, well, here's my y-axis right here. So to reflect over my y-axis, my A, if I had a point right here, let's say that's AB. Well, instead of going over this amount for A, I'm going to go in the opposite direction, that amount. So my B is going to stay the same. I'm going to go up the same amount, but my A is the opposite. So that's where we get the opposite of A, B from. If we're going to reflect it over the line y equals x, so y equals x, it's the image, the point of the image is BA. So y equals x. This is something a lot of students think, what's that line? So here's my coordinate plane. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, here's negative 1, negative 2. The line y equals x is the line that every x and y coordinate have the same exact value. So 1, 1. My x and y have the same value. 2, 2. My x and y have the same value. 0, 0. X and y have the same value. Negative 1, negative 1. X and y have the same value. So this is the line y equals x. So if I want to reflect over that line y equals x, all you have to do is flip your ordered pair around. So you get BA. So let's use these rules. So if AB is reflected in the line y equals x, so I want to reflect it over the line y equals x, then its image is the point BA. So if you're reflecting it over y equals x, you just flip your x and y coordinates around. So let's do this example. This is the endpoints of C are negative 2, 2. So negative 2, 2 right here, there's C. And D, which is 1, 2. So 1, 2 is right here. There's D. So here is my line segment CD. It says reflect this segment in the line y equals x and then graph it. Okay? So remember, here's my rule that I'm going to have to follow. I just switch my B and my A. So C is negative 2, 2. C prime would then be 2, negative 2. Just flipping it around. D is 1, 2. So D prime would be 2, 1. So let's graph that. I'm going to use a different color here. So 2, negative 2. So over 2, down 2. There's C prime. And 2, 1. Over 2, up 1. There's D prime. So here is my new one. And if you look, here's the line y equals x. Goes through these points, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 0, 0. And it does look like a reflection over that line. So double check and make sure it looks like you're reflecting it over the right part. So we've got one more coordinate rule here to add. Remember our first one, if you're reflecting it over the x-axis, you keep the A the same and do the opposite of B. Reflecting over the y-axis, you do the opposite of A but keep the B same. If you're reflecting over the line y equals x, well, then you just flip the B and the A. And one way to remember this is your y equals your x, and then your x has to equal your y too, so just flip them around. And then if AB is reflected in the line y equals the opposite of x, our image, well, let's think about it, okay? So here's my x, y's got to be the opposite of that. So y is going to be the opposite of A. Here's my y, this x is going to be the opposite of that. So we do the opposite of B, come the opposite of A. So you flip your ordered pair around and do the opposite sign for both of them. That's what you do when you're going to graph in the line y equals the opposite of x. And before I move on, I just should show you quick here what that line will look like. So here's my coordinate plane again. Here's my coordinate plane. And if I wanted to do y equals the opposite of x, well, if y is 1, x is going to be negative 1. Okay? If y is 0, x is 0. If y is negative 1, if x is negative 1, then y is the opposite. It's positive 1. So y equals the opposite of x is a line that looks just like this. There's y equals the opposite of x. So if we want to reflect over that line, we flip our ordered pair and do the opposite sign. So if AB is reflected in y equals the opposite of x, remember you do the opposite of B, the opposite of A. So example 3 here, graph a reflection in y equals the opposite of x. So we're going to reflect segment CD from example 2. We're going to use the same one. We're going to reflect it though in the line y equals x. We're going to graph the line segment and its image. So let's put the pre-image on here first. So negative 2 is right here. Here's C. And D is 1, 2. Here's D. So here's my pre-image. That's before the change. And remember, I'm graphing over the line y equals the opposite of x, and that's a line that looks like this. Okay, so y equals the opposite of x, looks like that. So you should be able to kind of envision what it will look like if I do this reflection. In order to do this, I want the opposite of B, the opposite of A. So B here is 2, the opposite would be negative 2. A here is negative 2, so my opposite is going to be positive 2. Here's my B, so it's going to go here with the opposite sign. Here's my A, it's going to go here with the opposite sign. So C prime is negative 2, 2, which makes sense because C is on that yellow line. So there's C prime. And D prime is negative 2, negative 1. So here's D prime. So here's my reflection over the line y equals the opposite of x. And that looks right. So the kind of purpley color is my pre-image, and the blue is my image after the reflection over the line y equals the opposite of x. Okay, so here's our frame. We already did the what is this about? That's how we reflect images over different lines in the coordinate plane. Our so what here is we need to remember the rules on this page. Remembering them will help us remember how to perform reflections. So these rules are one that you really should memorize, kind of quiz yourself on. We will work on quizzing ourselves on them in class as well. But get used to seeing them, study them, memorize them. And that's the end for this lesson, so make sure you starred any problems that you had questions on so that we can talk about them in class tomorrow. And have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.